The Grand Hall of Dominion echoed with contempt. Chancellor Virex of the Thalvac Imperium, his mandibles clicking with disdain, leaned forward over the shimmering war table. Humans are done. Their last fleet vanished without a trace. The Earth is quiet, and quiet means defeated. A soft ripple of amusement passed through the gathered warlords. Arrogant smiles, tense nods, calculated ignorance. But Counselor Dren, younger and sharp-eyed, hesitated. It's been too quiet. No broadcast, no retaliation, no escape traffic. Something feels enough, Virex hissed. Primitive minds can't strategize. They survive by noise, and they've gone silent. Then the lights flickered, only once. A blink. And in that blink, something entered Thalvac space. Not a probe. Not a message. A shadow. Dren stood. That wasn't a glitch. He didn't finish the sentence. Because the orbital shield grids began to melt, literally melt, from the outside in. Like wax under a silent flame, no impact registered. No breach. No warning. The war table turned red. Every system readout showed the same word. Unidentified. Where's the fleet? Virex snapped. Gone, whispered the technician. Not destroyed, just gone. And then it came. Only audio. No image. Just a voice, thick with static and gravity. This is Commander Ilara Griggs of Earth's 7th Fleet. We received your broadcast. We are not responding, we are arriving. Silence. And then, cities vanished, not exploded, deleted. Entire grids overwritten by something so fast, even light had no time to reflect it. Virex staggered. But they didn't. How can they? They hit before we screamed, someone whispered. And the council finally understood. Earth hadn't surrendered. Earth had waited, watched, calculated, and struck with such precision. The war didn't even get a chance to begin. Virex collapsed to his knees. This was not supposed to be possible. No one replied, because by then, half the council was already dust. Commander Vreeland of the Thalvac Outer Perimeter had fought a dozen frontier wars. He'd watched planets scream, moons shatter, and enemies beg. But this wasn't war. This was erased. Status report, he barked, antennae twitching, as his bridge lit up in scarlet overlays. A lieutenant stammered, We have no enemy signatures, but ships are disappearing, not exploding, just vanishing from the grid. Vreeland moved to the viewport. What he saw nearly made his breath stop. A black void. Not empty space, a fleet, cloaked not by tech, but by design. Dark angels, matte armor, no running lights, no signatures, like death had been engineered into a formation. Then one of them blinked. Not literally. It shimmered, once, with blue edge lighting tracing its hull. And that was enough. Just one flicker for every Thalvac soldier to finally see it. And then came the first sound. KRZT. Ch. Perimeter breached, followed by another voice, human, calm, almost amused. Targeting complete. Begin soft deletions. Soft deletions, Vreeland watched as his second-in-command standing beside him, froze in place, then disintegrated into blue particulate, as if being unrendered by some godlike simulation glitch. No. Vreeland turned to run, but his boots wouldn't move. The gravity in the room shifted, not down, not sideways, inward. They're bending the field lines, an engineer screamed. They're not attacking, they're rewriting physics. Vreeland smashed his fist into the console. Why? He roared. Why not demand surrender? Why not talk? The response came instantly. You didn't talk when you took Kira 7 or when you silenced our colony ships, we remembered. The screen flickers on the Thalvac command ship. A map appears, not of the Warzone, but of Earth. One line blinks. Underneath, T-4 minutes to Phase 2. Reminder. What's Phase 2? Vreeland whispers. No one knows, and that's what breaks them. They didn't speak, because silence was the loudest threat we'd ever heard. A Thalvac surveillance. Drone captures something emerging from Earth's fleet. It isn't a ship. It's a shape. Something tall, humanoid, walking across space. Then the feed cuts. At first, the figure looked like a glitch. It hovered outside the command dome of the Thalvac Battlecrux station, backlit by the dying lights of ships that no longer existed. Lieutenant Krell squinted at the feed. It's humanoid, he muttered. The room stiffened. Deploy interceptors, the Admiral ordered. Crush it. 2 Phalanx-class flyers, sleek and venomous, launched, without hesitation. The room watched in tense silence. They never made contact because the figure looked up, and with no weapons, no blast, no flare, the interceptors simply shattered. Their hulls crumpled inward like foil meeting a singularity. No debris, just dust and silence. The feed zoomed. A man, unarmored, unarmed, breathing calmly in the void. What is that? Krell whispered. A nearby tech, hands shaking, stammered. His body is emitting gravitational curvature, micro-singularity layering. That's impossible. The Admiral leaned in. He's wearing the void. That's not a suit. That's Earth's tech, or it's him. No name, no designation, just motion. He walked. Across the vacuum, across broken ships, across dimensions if necessary. And behind him the stars seemed to warp. Visual identification incomplete, the AI announced. Threat classification, incarnate-level entity. Estimated damage potential, planetary scale. Then, for the first time he spoke. You told Earth to kneel. I am the answer. The feed cuts to black for 0.5 seconds, then flickers back. The man is now inside the ship. No airlock breach, no alarms, just footsteps on the metal. Getting closer, Admiral Jarn stood beneath the war altar of the Imperium's flagship, claws raised over the sacred activation disk. This is no longer a skirmish, he announced. We initiate Protocol Zeros. Gasps rippled across the chamber. That protocol hadn't been touched in 6,000 cycles. It was the algorithm of absolute, or final solutions, planetary sterilization, fleet swarms driven by predictive AI billions of moves ahead. The war altar pulsed. Zeros active. Generating extinction strategy. A dozen subfleets detached. Missile platforms unfolded like wings of a mechanical god. Particle lances flared to life. AI swarm bots deployed like locusts from between fractured moons. We finish this now. Then, 1 moment later, zeros crashed. Literally. The algorithm stopped calculating. Reboot it, someone barked. Impossible, the AI muttered. It encountered a recursive paradox. What paradox? A new signal appeared. A small Earth vessel. Laughably small. No visible weapons. And its code signature? Null. No registry, the engineer whispered. It's not listed in any galactic protocol. Then a message came through. Audio only. A woman's voice, calm, steady. You're still using war books? Laughter. We rewrote ours, on fire. And then, that tiny ship did something none of them could believe. It sliced through space. Not metaphorically. Space folded around it and tore, like paper. And from the tear, dozens of Earth's ghost ships emerged, ships with no heat, no sound, no explanation. Every scanner read them as absence. One Thalvac admiral turned and whispered, "We just became the test site, not the enemy." The Earth ship beams a signal into the core of Zero's protocol. One line of code changes, and the entire Thalvac fleet begins turning, on itself, one AI at a time, one betrayal at a time. He stood tall, cloaked in obsidian armor, crowned in living circuitry. Emperor Threxos of the Thalvac Imperium had never addressed the galaxy directly before. He didn't need to. His fleets spoke louder than his words. But today, he stood alone, Cameras floated before him, broadcasting across 7 sectors. Citizens of the Imperium, do not fear. Earth is a myth bloated by silence. Our fleets remain vast, our will unshaken. Their weapons are tricks, their shadows illusions. We are Thalvac. We do not kneel. It would have been stirring if the stars behind him weren't shifting. Slowly, unnaturally, one by one, distant specks of light blinked out. The Emperor paused. Status, no response. Someone report, still silent. Then the stars returned, but different wrong. The constellations behind him no longer matched Thalvac charts. They weren't stars. They were ships. A human formation so massive it wrapped around the edge of space itself. Tight, silent, rim-lit in blue and gold like some divine machinery. Perfectly still. Perfectly quiet. Then, from the center of the swarm, came the sound. Not a warning. Not a threat. Just music. Old Earth music. A deep, steady beat. Marching drums. A low chant. Words in a language no Thalvac knew, but every heart felt. They're playing their anthem, whispered the Emperor's advisor. They're not speaking to us. They're speaking to each other. The Emperor's voice cracked for the first time. Open comms. Tell them, we're willing to negotiate. But before the words finished leaving his mouth, the central human ship opened a side bay. A weapon didn't emerge. A planet did. Not real. Some kind of projection, but with gravitational pull. The Emperor stared. That's not Earth, he murmured. What is that? His AI answered. That is what Earth could have been, had you not interfered. The message was clear. Earth had rewritten its history. Now it was about to be overwritten. The broadcast feed cuts, publicly, before the Emperor finishes his last sentence. The words, error, authority revoked, appear across all Thalvac networks. The people begin to panic. Strategist Kelvi wasn't born into war, she was built for it. Her neural cortex had been modified since childhood, trained to predict enemy motion 6 seconds ahead of time. No foe had ever surprised her, until Earth. Now her models failed. Every single time. She sat in the war nexus alone, staring at predictive trails that spiraled into chaos. Human ship movements didn't follow standard propulsion arcs. They blinked, curved, stalled, as if they weren't bound by the same rules. Try again, she muttered. Her AI flickered. Every path leads to null probability. Then something strange happened. A private channel opened, unencrypted from Earth. It wasn't an attack. It was a map. Not star coordinates, not fleet positions. It was a psychological map. Dozens of sectors marked not with logistics, but emotional. States. Zones labeled guilt, fear, shame, and one core node in red, reckoning. Kelvi's skin went cold. They're not tracking territory, she whispered. They're tracking memory. Then came a line of human text. They said we forget, we remember everything. She zoomed in on the reckoning sector. The planets marked there matched old colonial incidents, ones Thalvac had covered up, ones the Council never acknowledged. Earth hadn't targeted them randomly. They were reciting history through destruction. Kelvi collapsed into her chair. This isn't warfare, she whispered. It's literature written in ruin. Then she saw it, one dot labeled simply Kelvi. A message pulsed under her name. You weren't part of it. You don't have to die with it. The command deck of the EHS Vindicator was quiet. No alarms. No shouting. Just the rhythmic hum of a ship that had already made its decision. Commander Ilara Griggs stood with arms folded, staring at the silent feed of alien chaos unraveling across hundreds of screens. One officer stepped forward, uneasy. Ma'am, the Thalvac homeworld is exposed. We can flatten it in minutes. She didn't blink. We already did, she said flatly. Confusion. But we haven't fired. Ilara turned, voice calm but razor sharp. They broadcast strength. We broadcast absences. That's louder. She walked slowly toward the central table, a holographic map not of systems, but of silence. Each gap, each blacked-out zone, wasn't a missing signal. It was Earth's presence. Earth hadn't conquered space. They'd simply chosen when to be seen. "We didn't come to fight," she said. "We came to remind them what silence costs." One younger lieutenant, clearly unsettled, finally asked what the others feared. "Commander, are we the monsters now?" Ilara smiled faintly. "No. Monsters roar," we whispered. "And the galaxy screamed." The feed stabilized. 2 women, 2 species, 2 timelines stitched together by loss. Kylvi spoke first, voice steadier than she felt. "Why me?" Commander Ilara Griggs didn't answer right away. She stared, measured, then finally, "Because," you paused. "That's rare in your empire." Kylvi swallowed. "I studied Earth. I admired its resistance, but I didn't join the burning. I never fired a shot." Ilara nodded once. "And yet, you benefited from it. The Imperium fed you on stolen soil." Silence. Kylvi didn't flinch. "Then why not end me? Why open the channel?" Ilara stepped forward, her voice low. "Because once, I opened my front door and found smoke where my family used to be." The Thalvak strategist faltered. "Kira 7? Ilara nodded. "Your people erased it. My mother died trying to carry a message through the fire." Kylvi's claws trembled. "I didn't know." "That's the problem," Ilara said. "None of you ever know. You just move forward. So now, we make you pause." The message came in fragments at first. Waves, pulses, old Earth code. No demands, no ultimatums, just coordinates. Admiral Krylos of the Thalvak Resistance watched the broadcast loop across a dozen sectors. He turned to his bridge crew. "They're not threatening us," he said slowly. "They're inviting us." The comms officer frowned. "To what?" Krylos hesitated. The coordinates pointed to an unclaimed sector. Dead space. But then, something emerged. A station. Sleek, black, silent. Human. Design. But not the military. A transmission flared to life, text only. "This is not vengeance. This is a reckoning. If you still believe in war, do not come. If you still believe in silence, do not come. But if you want to remember us, step forward." The galaxy froze. Some ships turned around immediately, but not all. In Krylos' fleet, nearly half the vessels held positions, and slowly, one ship moved, not toward the station, but toward a human vessel, and powered down its weapons. Across space. Similar. Gestures unfolded like dominoes. Thalvak cruisers drifting to a halt, officers laying down arms, fleets once sworn to conquer. Now I'm just watching. Inside the Earth station, cameras activated. Dozens of human survivors walked slowly down a lit corridor. Not warriors. Civilians. Children. Elders. Artists. Each carried a memory chip, names of their dead. They weren't offering war, they were inviting grief. You can't win against people who stopped playing your game. The last Thalvak dreadnought, flagship of the Emperor's elite, stops just outside the station's radius and sends a message. "We will come, but only to speak." Earth doesn't respond. The bay doors begin to open. The Thalvak dreadnought, docked in absolute silence. No sirens, no standoff. Only the low hiss of the atmosphere stabilized. From the human side, a single figure stepped forward. Commander Ilara Griggs. No armor, no weapons. Just presence. From the Thalvak hatch, Emperor Threxos descended, slower than usual. Older, smaller now, and for the first time in his long reign, unguarded. They stood face to face with the galaxy watching through hundreds of intercepted feeds. "Why didn't you finish us?" Threxos asked. Ilara's voice was flat, measured, unforgiving. "Because extinction is quick. And you deserve something slower." The Emperor bristled, but didn't speak. We wanted you to see your empire bleed from the inside, she continued, to know what it's like when silence walks in, and everything you built listens to someone else. She turned slightly, motioning to a side panel. A projection shimmered to life. Every war crime. Every colony erased. Every broadcast was silenced. Every name Earth had ever archived. We remember, Ilara whispered. And now, so do you. The Emperor glanced at the projection. One entry flickered. Kira 7, 22,741. Lives. He looked away. What do you want? Ilara stepped closer. Nothing. That's the difference between you and us. You wanted submission. We wanted the truth. All across the Thalvac networks, the human broadcast pulses once more. It's not a warning. It's a recording of every alien commander asking for Earth's surrender and Earth's refusal to answer. Each silence stacked on silence until it becomes a roar. They didn't even have time to scream, that was the point. Ilara turns and walks away. Behind her, the galaxy blinks, one star at a time, into silence. The last line of the final Earth broadcast reads,